Hello, beautiful souls, beautiful light workers and star seeds. Welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny, and today we're going to talk about your childhood. Is your childhood still affecting you, and how to move on with grace? As we've talked about many times on this channel, we know that Starseeds and Lightworker Souls chose to have very difficult childhoods when they came to Earth. And a lot of this was to progress them on their spiritual awakening path even sooner so that they could awaken through the contrast of what was happening to them and what they knew from the higher dimensions and before of love and peace and oneness. And then coming into this very chaotic, possibly abusive or dramatic family element, because we all chose our families, right? We chose our parents, we chose our families. And, choosing something that was disharmonious and had a lot of trauma or lower vibrations would simply wake us up sooner due to the contrast of what we're used to and what we know that we crave in our souls. As well as that old saying that a diamond is formed under intense pressure. And it's the same kind of situation here with awakening and having that come because of the intense pressure. So when it comes to trauma in your childhood, this work comes into play in a big way. And we can use this trauma and these experiences that have stayed with us and maybe are still lingering in our system as, health issues or dis-ease or disharmonic energy, or also in our hearts and in our emotional systems as these limiting beliefs that we're not enough, and we were never enough, or we'll never be loved, or we're going to be abandoned, or whatever the case may be with your childhood. They leave lasting impressions in our energetic system that often come out as physical manifestations like illnesses and disease, and these heart manifestations of these low vibrational emotions, limiting beliefs, anxiety, depression, all of it. So the most important thing that you can do is the thing that people don't want to do at all. It's what they push back against the most, but it's to go back into those moments, into those memories, and replay them. Because you need to replay the moments to feel the emotions again. Because clearly you did not have the opportunity to do the healing and the clearing needed at the time. So at the time when the trauma or the abuse or the intense environment was happening for you as a child, you did not have the wherewithal and the awakened consciousness yet at that time to do the healing and to see it from a high perspective that's needed to be able to, heal through forgiveness and compassion and to release it. So we need to replay these moments in our lives and these memories, and we need to feel those feelings now. Really feel them, really allow ourselves to go through them, because that's the only way that you actually can release them, is to fully feel them once and for all. And through doing that, you'll have a lot of insights and you'll have a natural healing that occurs. Almost a sense of relief that you've finally gone back to that place and allowed yourself to get through it. And once you've replayed it and you've felt it, then you need to feel it some more. Just continue to feel the emotions until they fade. And it could take some time. It can take days, it can take weeks, it can take months, but the more fully committed you are and the more you really go there and allow those emotions to come through, give yourself the time and the space to do that safely in your meditative time, and the more often you allow your inner child the time to speak up like this, the quicker it's going to come out. Because remember, what's coming up is also leaving. And then through feeling the emotions that we would have felt then if we could have, that's how we heal it and that's how we release it. And now you get the opportunity to rewrite the situation from the higher perspective that you've now cultivated within yourself, but maybe did not have, obviously, as a young child or even as a teenager going through these experiences. And the higher perspective is always seeing the situation as medicine. And also knowing that we chose it, right? Like we said at the beginning of the video, you chose your parents, you chose your family, you also chose a lot of the experiences, or at least the energy that you were going to experience throughout your childhood. And so ask yourself the question, why would you choose that? Because there's a reason. There is a reason for it. It's teaching you a lesson. It is the medicine behind the lesson. And if we view it in this higher perspective, then we view all of these hurts as hidden gems of wisdom within ourselves that we can uncover and then become more full, more capable, more wise because of those experiences. Remember, shadow work is always about acceptance, compassion, and forgiveness. So the first stage being to just accept that that was your experience, that you did go through that, accept that as a part of yourself and a part of your soul's history and your energy. And then next, moving into trying to find compassion. And we do that through being naturally empathic, these empathic souls that we are. We just try to put ourselves in the other person's shoes. So if you had a particularly difficult parent and you put yourself in their shoes and you tried to think about why they were the way that they were, and perhaps this is because they had a difficult childhood as well, and they also have their own history and their own experiences, and because they didn't know any better and didn't have this beautiful wisdom that you have as this starseed soul, as this ancient old soul, they didn't have that wisdom, and maybe they didn't have an awakening the way that you have. So instead of healing it and facing it, they just took all of their hurt and they passed it on, as these generations tend to do. They pass on the hurts, they pass on limiting beliefs and this old programming, and it becomes this cycle. And they don't know any better. And a lot of compassion can come from that place of seeing through their eyes. And truly, I believe that every soul is doing the best that they can with the information that they have within. And if they're not doing better yet, then they don't have it yet. They don't have it within them to offer you any more than that. Everybody can only meet us as far as they've come themselves. And so if they can't meet you at your level, then they just haven't arrived there yet. It doesn't mean that they won't arrive there, but they just haven't yet. So if you can view your family members and anyone, in your childhood that affected you in a hurtful way or in a painful way, through eyes of compassion and through trying to put yourself in their shoes, realizing that you'll actually never know everything that they've been through, just as they won't truly understand everything that you've been through. You just have to know that they did the best that they could, and they also went through very difficult, hard, painful times. Which moves us into the third stage of shadow work, which is forgiveness. And in this stage, remember, you do not have to forgive the actions. You just have to have forgiveness for the beautiful soul on the other end. And really, through forgiving them, which is easier when you've had the step of compassion beforehand, but through forgiving them, you set yourself free. Through forgiving them, you raise your own vibration. And through forgiving them, you're now viewing them through the eyes of your soul, through that ancient, older, wise soul that knows that we came to earth with these soul contracts. And, perhaps your father, for instance, he decided with you before you even came into this incarnation, and you made up all of these contracts where you were going to teach each other lessons. And so he agreed to teach you these lessons through this hardship, just as you've agreed to teach him lessons through you being on the other end of that. He's got his whole own set of lessons that he's learning. And also, as well as soul contracts, there can also be a karmic energy that's being rebalanced or released. Perhaps you had lifetimes with this soul where things were flipped and you were on the other side of that situation. And now you're flipping it back to experience it as the person without the control and without the say in the matter as the child. And that could be actually like balancing and releasing a lot of karmic energy for you from past lifetimes. So we just don't know everything that's happening on an energetic level. We can tune into it and find out as we go through the spiritual journey. But in the beginning, it's just all hurt and pain, isn't it? So we have to trust in our souls that they knew what they were doing when they chose these experiences, and move through the steps of shadow work of acceptance, compassion, and forgiveness. It's really important to let go of your story, because the more that we hold on to the story of it all, the more we let it identify us. And it doesn't identify who we are. Our childhoods do not. They are literally just the springboard, the starting point of something so much more. And mostly it was all just about helping us to wake up sooner, because the sooner that we wake up and have this spiritual awakening at as young of an age as possible, the further we can progress along the path before our time here is over, and the more people that we can help. Especially now in this time of the Great Awakening and in the year 2020, you really see that sense of urgency happening, and why you would have chosen to have extreme situations wake you up as soon as possible. So remember that it doesn't define you. And if you allow it to define you, you are selling yourself short, because you are so much more than you were as that little child. Just think about how much you've grown in the last year. In the last 2 years, 5 years, you are not the soul that was born into this planet. You are not the soul that originally came in. You are so much more through all of the work that you've been doing, through all of the soul growth, all of these lessons, all of the shadow work. So at this time, it's very important to reclaim your inner child, to decide to take responsibility for them and to take care of them. If not you, who's going to do it? So getting really comfortable with talking with our inner child. Just as when you're healing a past life, I encourage you to talk to that version of yourself, that character that you were, because it still resides within your soul. And so you would use their name and have these conversations with them to gain the healing and the insight needed. That's the same way that you do with your inner child. So you speak to your inner child with love and support and compassion, and you ask them questions. Ask them to tell you what it felt like, what they went through, how they're feeling now, and how you can help. And by offering them this space to express themselves, you create a safe space for healing. And when your inner child feels safe, that is when you flourish on all levels. So it's really important to take care of them. And through giving them space and being consistent in your work, like in your spiritual routines, they should be daily. You should be going into the meditations to heal that part of yourself daily until it's healed. It should be your priority, healing your inner child and getting really close with them. And the more you show up for them, the more you prove to your inner child that you can be trusted, and the more that they will reveal then, because they feel safe to do so. And it just feeds itself in this beautiful cycle of safety, healing, trust, and revealing all of these emotions where you can go through them and feel them again. The last thing that I would suggest is to have Archangel Michael dissolve any remaining cords from your childhood. So you can just simply ask, just request it from him, but make sure that you are in that meditative, sacred space so that you can really feel the experience and get the most from it. Ask him to come in to the room that you're in and to, really have a look at you and locate all of these cords that are still attached from you to that family member or to that experience in your childhood, and ask him to dissolve it with love. I don't really like the whole cutting cords aspect that a lot of people use. I prefer to just dissolve it with love. It's a lot more gentle, and it's a lot more conducive to like this gentle inner child energy that you need to have, being very like gentle and compassionate and careful with them. So ask him to dissolve these cords and to fill you up with the love and the healing from source that you need. And then at the end, just have him seal in that healing with the white light energy that you can envision around yourself like a cocoon. So Archangel Michael is always available to us. He can be in many places at once, infinite amount of places at once, as this very high vibrational archangel. And he is so happy to help us in our journey of healing, and very well versed at dissolving cords, sending in this very healing energy and this very source-like light that clears and heals all remaining negative, low vibrational energies, and then sealing it in with that cocoon of light. So I wish you all the best with the healing of your childhood and your inner child. It is the most important thing that you can do with your spiritual journey and with shadow work. And once you move through the healing, which takes as long as it needs to take, it's not a rush, it's about doing it completely. And once you completely heal that inner child aspect, you'll notice that your past lives then begin to appear to you for healing in the same way, with the same steps and the same shadow work. So move through this inner child healing, and then you get to move into the past life healings and really raise your vibration through doing this shadow work. We are radically raising our vibrations now by really committing to doing this clearing and this healing, and releasing others as well through the dissolving of these cords. But you can heal this lifetime, all of your lifetimes, all of your timelines, and completely transform yourself in this one life alone. We're giving an opportunity right now to transform and to grow in one lifetime more than any other time that we've had, more than any other lifetime or incarnation. Like, this is the lifetime of great transformation, as we are on a planet that is going through a great transformation and coming through a dark shadowed time and going into this golden age. And you see it all around you, the Great Awakening. It's very apparent, especially in the collective consciousness, which is currently going through that shadow time and that healing. So take advantage of these energies and develop that within yourself as well. And you just have no idea how far you can get with it. You can just clear everything across all time and space that you've ever been a part of, and really set yourself free, and really come out at the end of this lifetime a completely different soul, going from being a light warrior into this rainbow warrior, and going from being a soul of separation with all of these different aspects into a oneness, a soul of oneness, this master soul who's absorbed all of their past lives with all of the beautiful wisdom and lessons in each one. So this healing is very available to you. You just have to work on it. You just have to commit to it and work on it every day. So please let me know if you have any questions at all about healing a childhood aspect, or about shadow work in general. I also have a video on shadow work. If you're looking for more information, there's a whole video dedicated to shadow work. And there's also a whole video dedicated to the dark night of the soul, which is what a lot of people go through when healing their childhood and their inner child. So check either of those out for more information. And thank you so much for joining me today. Please like this video and definitely share this one. This is a very important video to share, as so many people are going through this right now. It is the most important healing that we can all do. Also, make sure to subscribe before you leave today, because you get new videos with me every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. And always remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. Have a great day. Bye.